Hey CIP volunteers out there. My name is Colleen. I help run the Community Investments Program here at the Elks National Foundation. Myself, along with my colleague Chelsea, are here day after day helping you with grant questions, grant advice, and I'm here today to talk to you about the CIP resources out there to help you maximize your grant opportunities with the Elks National Foundation. So let's dive right in. So what we're going to do today is kind of go through where you can find everything. The grant process can seem daunting, and there's a lot of information out there. So this is an attempt to succinctly provide you a roadmap of where you can find all this information and then pass that information along to other lodges interested in starting out in CIP grants. So the first thing I want to talk through is the best one-stop shop resource that's in print, and that is called the CIP Field Guide. There's a picture of it right there. We send 2 CIP field guides to each lodge secretary across the country, along with 1 CIP field guide to every ER across the country. Those should have landed in your inbox at the beginning of April, and it is a physical roadmap. It's a little booklet that has at least 2 pages for each grant opportunity and is chock full of information and resources for you to kind of wrap your head around what's going on in this CIP grant program. It lists all of our opportunities. It has other resources. It has every URL you could possibly want or imagine. It also has a nice tear out calendar that you could put on your bulletin boards to keep yourself on track. This is the gold standard, best one-stop shop resource in print that you can get. Along with the ones that we send out to each lodge, we also have some available in our office to send if you need more. If you're traveling to St. Louis this year for Grand Lodge Convention, we'll also have a ton at the booth. So if you stop by the ENF booth, you're more than welcome to pick up 1 or 10 or however many you need. So, this is also posted on our CIP resources page, which I'll go through in a little bit, so you can print out your very own copy. So, best one-stop shop printed resource, the CIP Field Guide. However, the granddaddy of CIP resources, the best one-stop resource, period, end of sentence, best place, you need it, is elks.org/CIP. 12 characters, standing between you and up to over $20,000 in grants for charitable projects in your community. It's insane. How everything that you need is right here on this website. It's a simple one to put into your browser. I understand that the Elks website sometimes can seem like a labyrinth of confusing links, but this is an easy one. Write it down, bookmark it, tattoo it wherever you need to, elks.org/CIP. So, right here on the screen you have a screenshot of what the homepage actually looks like for those of you looking at it on a desktop. And you can click on each one of these giant boxes to learn more about each of our individual grant opportunities. We have the Beacon, Gratitude, Promise, Impact, Spotlight, and Freedom grants. We have individual webinars and presentations for each of these. I'll go through where to find those. And then each of these big buttons takes you to a page that gives you all the information you need, including the application link for each of these grants. So, here's an example, or 2 examples, of what you can find on each individual grant web page. For example, on the Beacon Grant page, you can find a 1-page Beacon Grant flyer, FAQs, a breakdown of the application, and Instagrants, which are a wonderful resource if you're not sure where to start or you don't have a project idea. This is a little packet of information that kind of gives you ready-made grants. Things that if you think that you can run it in your community, just simply put it down in the application and you'll get funded. So we call them Instagrants because they really are that. They're instant grant ideas. Likewise, as you can see in the yellow, we have the same exact resources available for the Gratitude Grant as well. So if you go to the CIP webpage, click on the Beacon Grant, all that information is right there at your fingertips. Likewise for all of our other grant opportunities. All right, so on the CIP website, another area that I'd like to point your attention to is the CIP Resources page. The CIP Resources page really encompasses everything else that you would need to successfully apply for and run a CIP grant project. So as you can see here on your screen, this is what pops up when you visit enf.elks.org/CIP resources. All of these great buttons we'll go through in a little bit, but first I'd like to draw your attention to where you can find another copy of that field guide that I was just bragging about. If you look on your left-hand side, right there linked is the Field Guide and Flyers tab, and if you click on that, you go to another area of the CIP Resources page where you can find handy flyers and the CIP Field Guide to print out and use. So we have that calendar, we have a Lodge Beginner's Guide. If you are just starting out, it has really great troubleshooting tips for our application and kind of step-by-step for someone who's starting at square one. And then again, that CIP Field Guide, if you got 3 in the mail and you're looking for more, go to the website, download it. You don't have to print it in color, and then you have a ready-made field guide right there. All right, so let's go back. Again, that's where you can find the CIP field guide on the left-hand side. But on the CIP resources page, I'd like to draw your attention to a couple of these resources that you can use, first starting with the CIP program toolkit. This is one of my favorite resources because it has so much information that you could spend all day just kind of clicking through links and getting ideas for projects. It's a toolkit that starts at the very beginning of the grant process, which is finding a project, right? Having that project idea. So it includes resources for assessing needs in your community. It includes resources for partnering with other organizations that might have the same passion as your lodge, and then also has resources for applying for grants and then what you do after or during the project. So volunteer recruitment, taking pictures, getting your story in the newspaper, all that can be found on the CIP program toolkit. Take a look. It's a great resource. Probably more information than you need, but is there such a thing as more information than you need when you're applying for grants? Definitely dive right in. Also here too, as you can see to the right of the green box, we have our grants coordinator page. All that is just instructions for a secretary to appoint grants coordinators. Next to that, we have our final report forms page, which goes over the new online process for submitting final reports. We also have webinars and veterans resources posted right here. We have a special area right for Exalted Rulers that has a very nice tool guide just for Exalted Rulers. We also have an area for Operation Warm, which is one of our new partners. If you are interested in learning more about Operation Warm, definitely click there. Or if you're interested in projects that you could do with Operation Warm using our grants, definitely stop by the Spotlight Grant webpage. One of our 7 projects there specifically for Operation Warm, which is to give coats to kids in need. Again, everything that you could ever want regarding grants is right here. All of the information here is general information about running grant programs, learning about how to use grants properly, how to apply properly, how to report on them properly. It's all here. But you might be asking yourself, where's the specific information for my lodge? Especially if you're a new grants coordinator, or maybe something happened, that got you out of the grant game for a little bit, but you're coming back in and you want to see where your lodge stands. There are 2 very important places that you can look to see personalized lodge information about grants. The first one is right here, and it's the only button I haven't talked about yet. That is the CIP participation report. This report is available to everyone. You do not need to be a grants coordinator or a secretary to access it. And what it does is shows the status of every lodge and their grants for that year. You can filter by lodge. You can filter by state. You can filter by district. You can turn it into a PDF. You can manipulate this resource in any way that you want. And most importantly, you can see your lodge, what you did apply for, maybe what you didn't get. If your lodge is in grant compliance, it tells you yes or no. And if no, it tells you the reason why. This is wonderful, wonderful resource for everyone. I know there are people out there who are at a district or state position that utilize this to do some light shaming to other lodges in their state or district to get them involved and engaged in getting grants. We update this every Friday. It is the newest information possible to have on our grants. Right now, at this juncture, right before April 1st, we have information from last year. As we move into April 1st and the 2019-20 grant year, we'll have up-to-date information every Friday about where your lodge stands in relation to everyone else. So check it out. Another very important resource to kind of get your head around where your lodge is at in the grant game is the CIP dashboard. Now, CIP dashboard is where everything lives, and by everything I mean applications and final reports, which is everything you need to get a grant check. Application is self-explanatory. You need to fill it out, we need to approve it, you get that check. In order to get more money from us down the road, you need to finish the final report form in the last column. So this is where you can find that for your lodge. As you can see on the screen, it says Chicago North Shore, that's my lodge. I can log on here, see where my lodge is at in the grant game, see what we still need to do if we haven't finished a final report, if we still need to apply. Grants coordinators, lodge secretaries automatically have access to this, so don't worry, it's not something that everyone can see because not everyone can apply for grants, but if you're looking for specific information about your lodge and grants for your lodge, this is where you need to go. And again, the URL is right there. I don't know if you can see, but on the left-hand side, it's also linked grants dashboard. This is also accessible through CLMS if you are a secretary. All right. Hopefully that wasn't too painful. If you have any questions, definitely contact us. Our phone number and email are right there, and thanks for listening.